Hello, everyone, and welcome to another talk here. We're going to do some analysis on Donna Lee. We're going to talk about the melody. So I put out a video on this. I don't remember. It's been a while, probably a few years. And I played sort of on the lower register of the guitar and on that, which I like it. I like it there, but I thought maybe I'll revisit this and play it an octave higher than that. So I thought in doing that, I put together this tablature on it. So I spent some time, kind of working through it and finding sort of pathways, if you will, on the fingerboard that seemed to make sense for technique and phrasing and so on. So having that, let's do a little bit of an idea of some analysis. We'll do kind of quick. I'm not sure we'll do note by note, but we'll have about 20 minutes or 25 minutes, something like that, to talk through this. So let's dial things in here. Try to make this as big as I can. Maybe I'll make it somewhat full screen here. All right, so we're gonna have like 2 measures at a time. I'm not gonna play today. We're going to talk about these melody notes mainly. All right. So we have, and we did harmonic analysis on this, right? So I've got going. If you haven't seen or listened to that one, that's on I think that was just the previous podcast and one of the recent videos. All right here we have A flat major 7. We'll kind of right in the middle. So starting on the major 7, root major 7, and we get to the 6, and then we have a passing tone here. So we call this a chromatic passing tone. Okay, and that's going to connect us into the flat 7 of the F7 chord, right? So we get the E flat. One thing to watch out for too, especially if you're thinking about whether a passage is maybe working through a bebop style kind of scale or chord tone sort of thing. Notice how the beats lay out here and the chord tones. So if we have, say, beat 1, 2, 3, 4, we can see that on those particular spots we have chord tones. Flat 7 on beat 1, 5 on beat 2, major 3rd on beat 3, and then we get the flat 7 on beat 4. So that's an important thing that you can use as an awareness of what the melody is doing, but also as something that might inform your own solos or melodies that you might be creating. Okay, now this is kind of interesting here. This G flat, A flat, F, E flat. All this is very F7 still. So get kind of F7, say sharp sharp 9, flat 9. Okay, so that's just kind of hanging over into 2 beats into this measure here. So we may not necessarily need to analyze this note by note in terms of B flat 7. But when we get to beat 3, pretty clearly see that we have a major third. It goes, I mean, each half of a beat is chord tone except for the last note. So we get the third, the fifth, the flat 7, and then the 9. Okay. Okay, and then we get a 13 and a 5. All right, so that pretty clearly spells out the B flat 7 from that moment on. All right, so now we're going to see an encircling of a chord tone coming up there. Okay, so let's say we look at this tone. This is the 5 of the B flat minor 7, and these two notes sit half step above and below that tone. So that's targeting or encircling the E flat there. Okay, here we have a chromatic passing tone. We're aiming at this root note. Okay, so let's again take a look at the beats. And maybe I'll move this down. But our beats here, I'll put kind of in red, and I'll explain things out loud as well for podcast listeners. Okay, so our chord is the B flat minor 7. We encircled this 5th here, and then we get to the root on beat 2. Okay, and so I'm going kind of every other note. Then we get, so actually I'm going to take that back here. So let's go. We encircle the 11. Okay, which is a 9 chord tone, the 11. And then we get to the root, and we get to the 5. Okay, and then the 9. Okay, and then we're gonna take that to the flat 7 of the E flat 7. Now, if you were to also, just take a look at it and think of it. So when you have a 2-5, like B flat minor 7, E flat 7, the 2 chord is kind of, if you relate it to the 5 chord, it's kind of like a suspended 5 chord, of course, with another root. But if you assigned it the E flat, it would give the impression of being kind of a sus sort of chord. So it's just something to think about, be aware of. All right, so we get to E flat 7. Oh, we got the flat 7. See, we've got a F, A flat, C. So that kind of appears to be an F minor triad there. All right, so those are all non-chord tones, or you might say an upper structure triad. Okay. Then we get to B, so that's also a non-chord tone. Let's see if we can, we got kind of an E minor arpeggio going down from B to G to E. So we've got two triads there. Okay, and then finally we get to the root and the flat 7. So it starts us out on the measure of the E flat with the flat 7. So we have a chord tone right there at the beginning, and then immediately shifts out to all non-chord tones from the end of 1 to all the way through until we get to the 4, beat 4. Okay, so A flat major 7. So we can see we're going up in thirds, kind of every other note, and that's from starting on the third of the A flat. So we get the major third, 5th, major 7, and then we get the 9. The major 7 and the 9 encircle in a diatonic way the root note. Okay, so we get 5, 6, and then we're gonna start. He's gonna start taking us towards the 4 chord here. So we get E flat minor 7. So no real surprises there. Just starting from the third, so you get those tones. So we get the flat third, the 5th, flat 7, and the 9. And then we get the D7. Okay, so we have the 9 and the third of that. No, or 9 and the flat 7, rather. Flat 7. We go to the 9 of the major 7. So that's pretty interesting. Okay. Root 7, 6. All right, we get D flat minor 7, G flat 7. So pretty stepwise kind of motion there. We have the 9 and the root, flat 7, 13, and the 5 of the G flat 7. All right. Then we get into the B section. So this is all, the first 2 bars are all the same as the first A. So we'll move forward here. We have B flat 7. All right, so let's look at what we have here. We have a major third, 9. Okay, and then we're stepping out a little bit, right? So if you look at what's happening here, we get the B and the A, and then get the B flat and the A flat. So the B flat and the A flat, that's going to be the root and the flat 7. Okay. So that's just sort of collectively, if you just take those 2 notes, they're just stepping up a half step out, kind of out of into non-chord tones, and then putting you back into it. So it just creates a little tension, creates a little motion. All right, and then we get the 11, and we get the 13, flat 13, all chromatic here, 5, and ending on the sharp 11. Okay, that's a pretty common spot for melodically, or and that includes improvisation, to land on the sharp 11 of the 2 chord that's dominant. Okay. Here we're with B flat minor. We start on a non-chord tone 11. The 11 is it's a really nice sound on minor chords. So we create a little tension there. We go to the flat third. We get the 5, flat 7, 9, root 5, and the flat 7. So you can see how many chord tones there are there. And the E flat 7. So anytime you see kind of stacked thirds, line, line, line on the staff, or space, 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 then that's going to be some sort of triad. So we get the G diminished triad, which is kind of a part of the E flat 7. So that's going to be 3, 5, flat 7, 5. Okay, and then we get this kind of stepping out, sort of altered things. We get the flat 9, we get the sharp 9, flat 9, root, flat 7. Now flat 7s resolve very nicely to thirds. We see that with the B flat minor, that flat 7 at the end goes to the third of the E flat 7. The same way here at the end of this measure, you have the flat 7. It's going to resolve to the third of the root there. All right, I think I may have misspoke here, jumped ahead a little bit. So now we're arriving at the B section. So probably have to maybe do another segment on this. So let's back up to measure 11. So here we're on the 1 chord. So we have the third. Okay, and then we're going chromatically up to the 5th. Okay, and then you might even think about that 5th. So 5th, the flat 7 is just a little stepping out, maybe even into the 5 chord there for a moment. But anyway, the 11 is a non-chord tone, that D flat, and that is going to pull us back to the third. And then we're going to connect to the third of the F7, 5, flat 7, root. And so here we see the same thing that we saw a moment ago. Flat 9, sharp 9, flat 9, root, and flat 7. So that's a line that you could use in soloing, but also just to be aware when you are playing the solo, to be aware of how that motion is working there. So, all right, so we worked through the A section there again on the Donna Lee. So a little bit of analysis, just to summarize. We saw some instances of delaying the resolution to a particular chord there on measure 3. We saw instances of encircling. So you could do it within a key, you could do it outside of a key, more chromatically. So kind of encircling that 11, which is interesting because it really kind of emphasizes a non-chord tone, and you might look at that a little bit too as sort of delaying the chord B flat minor in measure 5. So really start to clearly see that chord on the beat 2, maybe even more so than beat 1. Okay, then we saw some instances of what you might call upper structure triads. So on the E flat 7, there's an F minor triad, there's an E minor triad. So those are both kind of dissonances on the E flat 7 chord. So we kind of gives us a chord tone on E flat 7, steps out for about 2.5 beats, and then steps back into the chord, or into chord tones. All right, and then A flat major 7. So starting on the third of a chord is something that you're going to see a lot. Um, so we start on the third and go up intervals of thirds, um, and then resolves on the third. So, all right. Okay, so some really cool devices, just, thinking about the chord tones and all that. All right, everybody. Well, I'll be back with, should be back with more talks tomorrow. So, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got a lot out of it, and work on some more things. I have some things planned um, for live streams. I'm not sure if that's gonna, or for the just general live stream. So I might debut that probably next week. But the member live streams will go on. Goal is to do those daily. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again. I'll see you all in the next one.